Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome back to round 6 of the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup EU. Tonight we head down to Donnington Park. It's David Christie and David Russell here with you for live coverage of all of tonight's action. Firstly, a very warm welcome back, David. Great to be back in the booth with you yet again for more incredible action from this championship.
Yeah, good evening, buddy. You're really looking forward to this one. Donington Park, of course, is a classic, isn't it? A proper park circuit. One of the few I've actually had the pleasure of going to, both for racing and for musical adventures as well at the Download Festival. So I've had the pleasure of camping right next to the Crane of Curves, which is quite good fun, although it's a little bit difficult because you end up in the bottom corner of your tent when you slide down the hill. But no, really looking forward to this one, halfway through the championship, of course. And yeah, sprint races again. These have always thrown up some brilliant action, so I'm sure we'll see plenty more of that this evening.
You know, you can really learn a lot about someone from their musical tastes. And David, your estimation in my eyes has gone through the roof, knowing that you've gone to Download, my friend. That is definitely on my to-do list. But a wonderful festival at a wonderful circuit. I've had the pleasure of racing here. This was the scene of my very first real-life race last year in the City Car Cup. An incredible circuit, and it was this configuration that we were on. So it is a very, very fond place to see again here in 2022. Of course, we are at the national layout tonight, which negates the Melbourne hairpin and the Fogarty S's and just takes the final chicane back to that start-finish straight here. But being Donnington, what we do have to talk about is this incredible season that we've had so far, David. The first talking point obviously being Vince Peters. I mean, what is short of sending a rocket to that car, what do the other drivers in that pro class have to do to stop him winning these races?
I mean, look, it's difficult to say, isn't it? I mean, you can see in the practice times at the moment that Madsen Aldrini putting a candle to him at the moment, but he just seems to have this unbelievable ability every time he gets into the car in a race situation to just find moves where no one else can. But if I'm being honest, I think it's potentially the sprint races where he could get a little bit stuck. We've got a slightly bigger field than we had in the pro class last week. There's over a dozen guys in there this evening, which is good to see. So he's going to be starting further back than normal, which means, it does make things a little bit more difficult. Hopefully, it makes it even more difficult and we can start to relight that battle, because at the moment he's starting to pull away a bit of a gap at the top of the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take you through Donington Park then. Let's see if we can go on board with Thomas Gildeland here in the Benzo Racing. In fact, let's not, because he's just decided, he's heard that pressure and he's decided to go into the pits. Steve Martin is going to take that challenge up. No, he's going to head into the pits as well. I wonder actually if we've got a driver briefing that's the way it happened, and that's why all the cars are heading in. But Budovan Kuster actually come down then through the Craner Curves, that iconic section of the track. You see it all the way from the TV broadcasts with the BTCC for the likes of that, and through Old Hairpin, down under Starkey's Bridge, just running back up the hill through Schwantz Curve, the left-hander onto the brakes for McLean's. This right-hander again tightens up on the apex of the corner, and then it's a short, sharp burst up the hill towards Coppice, a double right-hander here. And one of the things that you never really appreciate, David, until you're there in person or on the track itself, is the elevation change involved here at Donnington. I mean, there are some very, very steep hills here.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say as well, Coppice in particular. I mean, I know you've driven it in real life, but in the sim, for me personally, it's got to be one of the most difficult corners, that I have the displeasure of having to try and drive around in the sim, because it's that blind apex, isn't it? And you've got it because you've got Starkey straight just afterwards. You've got to try and get on the power as early as possible. But in any car that I've seemed to have driven it in, I'll either miss the apex, I'll cut it, I'll get a track cut, anything like that, and I'll try and put the foot down, and the back end will just squirm and lose it going onto the straight. So, yeah, very difficult. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Lots of elevation. Obviously, going down towards the old hairpin's a big one as well. So, yeah, keeps things interesting. But I mean, look, it's a classic. Oh, big old hit there for Harry Wills. Not how you want to be going into McLean's, but yeah, it's just a classic track, isn't it? Obviously, we've gone from one to another. The Nordschleife, which is the pretty much chalk and cheese in terms of distance, but still some fantastic action and lots of overtaking positions.
Yeah, and that's a replay of Harry Wills absolutely sending it into the barrier there. And I was just waiting to clarify something there, David, as well, because you were saying that obviously your only experiences from being there in real life and the sim, and the point I was waiting to make is it's such a surreal feeling, because where we are with the sims today and these laser scanned efforts that are here in the likes of iRacing and in Assetto Corsa Competizione, it gives you a genuine insight into the track, so you know just exactly what that track is like. And it's going out there for the first time, it is a very, very surreal feeling, thinking I'm a brand new racing driver and in a brand new track that I've never been to before, and then you go out and you're like, hang on, this is identical. This is the same thing as being out in Assetto Corsa Competizione or out on iRacing. Certainly track-wise, it is almost identical, and it very quickly makes you feel at home, thinking, I've done this. And I'm a little bit distracted, I've got to be honest, because I'm looking at Vince Peters and I'm looking at his helmet, and for the life of me, it looks like a skeleton on the inside of that car. Is that just me? Am I seeing things with old age here, David?
No, I can see it as well. I actually spotted it at the Nordschleifer as well, but I wasn't entirely sure what it was. But no, I think you're right. You can just see the outline of it in his rearview mirror as he comes up to the front behind him.
Nightmare Before Christmas, is it? Jack Skellington.
Yeah, that's eerie.
I wonder if we can get one of our wonderful custom cameras from our very own Mike Yao here, but that's a bit creepy. I tell you what, he doesn't really need that to set the cat amongst the pigeons in the field, does he? Because it's scary enough seeing him coming behind you, let alone maybe that's why he's able to cut through the field as quickly as he is.
I was just about to say that. I bet you any money that's how
just like no, you just have that place. You
look through the mirror and go, no, I'm getting out of the way. not gonna bother with that.
I was just waiting to say, obviously, we've talked about Pro, moving on to Pro-Am. That is a proper fight that is kicking off throughout that Pro-Am field as well. Dan Sedgley currently leading the points there with 400 points. But Stuart Reynolds, you've got Igor Koss, Steve Martin, Cody Pride, all in that fight as well. And again, it's all to play for in that one. Cody Pride not had the best run of luck in round 4, or Steve Martin either.
No, absolutely, and that's kind of it's given Stuart Reynolds and Igor Koss a chance to kind of get up the field, and it's given Dan Sedgley a bit of a chance to kind of spread his legs and try to not the right way to put it, spread his wings and sort of disappear away in the standings a bit. Look, they've not had the drops put in there yet, so we don't know how that's going to change things. But look, these sprint races, they really throw the cat amongst the pigeons, don't they? Of course, there's reverse grid, so definitely a chance for those guys a little bit further down the championship to make their moves back upwards.
Yeah, certainly is. So here we go then. The cars on the track ready to get going for our first of 2 sprint races tonight. And your starting lineup looks like this. Dan Kell on pole position for the Pro class with alongside him Thomas Gildlian. Row 2 is going to be Budivin Kuster, Arius Humantis, Francois Aldrini on row 3 with Laurent Benzo, Bastian Maitler along with Nick Maidson, and Vince Peters in P9 for Pro. In the Pro-Am is going to be Dan Handover, Harry Wills on row 1, James Fierro and Cody Pride on row 2, Steve Martin and Igor Koss on row 3, Stuart Reynolds and Dan Sedgley on row 4. Row 1 for the AMs is going to be Dean Timms leading them off with Thomas Worm Jr. in second, Simon Underhill in third place with Ross Dunstan in fourth, fifth is going to be Dan Gildling with John Williams in sixth, seventh is going to be Jason Dilworth with Ryan Hamilton in 8th place, and Eric Benson and Chris Chatterton make up row 5 in 9th and 10th position in the AM class. And I almost passed out from reading that out so quickly there, David.
That was really impressive, to be fair. I don't think you put a foot wrong either.
Well, here we go then. The cars make their way round end for the pros. It's a short formation lap we get underway, and it's all eyes on the championship as we head in to the tail end of the season here at Donnington. The lights are on. They're about to go up, and we go racing. The green flag flies here at Donnington National. It's Dan Kell who moves across to block the line into Redgate, into turn 1, and the pro cars get themselves underway. And again, nothing too serious to watch just now. because, as we've seen so often, they are very, very good at just keeping things nice and easy for the first couple of corners in the lap. But moving on to the Pro-Ams in the main picture now, Dan Handover is going to lead these cars along with Harry Wills. Gets going, the green flag flies for them, and they are underway. Meanwhile, your AM class as well, they are just coming into the final chicane just now and come across the line. They get underway, and that's going to be Dean Timms who's going to lead them all off. And again, don't be surprised to not see too much chaos in the first lap or so. Say that, have a look at the AM field, David, coming down into turn number 1 there.
Yeah, absolutely. Going 2 or 3 wide, going into the first corner at Redgate, which is what you like to see. Not the kind of position you want to be going into, because you come down through the Crane of Curves, of course, it's going to be quite difficult to hold them. And you can see already the pro class have already completed their first lap. Dan Kell still holding the way from Budvin Kuster and Thomas Goldalian just in behind. But that tells you how short this track is. And I think we're going to see a bit of a crossing over of the classes pretty quickly if they're not too careful.
Yeah, that was really, really quick. Goodness me, I had no idea that it was actually there. I'm just working out where the AM class are in relation to that. Dan Handover off the track, he rejoins. I think he's going to drop all the way down the order. That is surely going to be towards the latter half of the circuit. So does Ryan Hamilton in that AM class as well, but the pros still fighting it out with just a minute gone and the second lap underway of this race. And again, with 20 minutes to go, you've got a car off in the background there. That's Dan Kell. So that is what happened to him here, as we see Irius Humantis still in a rock between a rock and a hard place, trying to catch on to Francois Aldrini and trying to defend from Laurent Benzo. Here is Dan Handover into the final chicane. My goodness me. Well, that is the second incident he's had. So that's the first one, and he rejoins the track, and he has to give up the time gained because they say he cut the course, as the good old man in iRacing says. But he's had another one as up into Redgate for the next time of asking.
Yeah, absolutely. He was almost drifted through Robert's chicane there, didn't he? It was quite impressive. But yeah, definitely would have got the slowdown for that. That is number 69 car pointing in the wrong directions, coming through Coppice. Again, that's our Jaime Fierro, so he's dropped right back down to the back of the Pro-Am field, unfortunately. Oh, you can see, I think that's Laurent Benzo pointing, or nearly pointing the wrong way, coming out of the old hairpin, so just about managing to hold on to it. But these guys are really starting to turn the wick up. Vince Peters is really battling with Bastian Matlet just in the background of the picture as well, not really having a chance to catch these guys in front, as there's a slow car in front. And there's Dan Kell losing it through McLean's, bit too hot and heavy into there. Fortunately managed to avoid the wall, but just looked like he lost the back end there.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So 3 minutes gone in this 20-minute race of 2 races that we've got. More highlights. Thomas Worm Jr. showing as off track on the timing, and this is why. And again, such an easy mistake to make into Old Hairpin. And again, that curb on the inside, that won't be the last car tonight, David, that we see getting caught up by that curbing on the inside of the Old Hairpin.
No, absolutely. It's one of those that kind of lulls you in, makes you think you can go faster through there than you really can. And yeah, not the ideal start to the race for a few of these drivers, but Thomas Goldalian, Budvin Kuster getting off to a good start. Aldrini close behind them with Benzo just within 2 seconds as well. So these guys have got off to a good start. Vince Peters not making the fast start we normally attribute him to. He's still made up a couple of positions, but one of those is obviously because of Dan Kell making that mistake in the plains a couple of laps ago. So not had it all his own way so far as the championship leader.
Yeah, for sure. And just watching, oh my goodness me, who was that off in the background there? Let's have a look at the timing. That, I think, is Thomas Worm Jr. He's the only car being marked still as off track at the moment, and that would make sense that he goes another lap down, and it is Thomas Worm Jr. Oh, and that's such an easy mistake as well to make. Now, what he's done there is, on the entrance to, I believe that's Coppice, is just drifted that rear left tyre out onto the grass, and of course, over-rotates the car, spins him right round, and that is going to be a horrible night for Thomas Worm Jr. because if he's anything like me, David, and you'll know this from your own experience as well, once you have one mistake, many more mistakes will likely follow because you just lose your concentration, you lose your ability to focus, and for me, I lose my cool. I just instantly see the red mist. I push way harder than I should be, and more mistakes usually come very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that push to kind of overcompensate for the mistake you've made, isn't it? You want to try and, even though it's probably not possible, you want to gain back the time you've lost. But going down the hill, That is Stuart Reynolds following Igor Kos, following Dan Handover. They're in a different class, but still, in fact, no, they're not. Sorry, they're all in the Pro-Am class. Forgive me. Is it just going into the old hairpin? Dan Handover goes very wide, and he's lost the position. As a result, is he going to lose the position to Steve Martin as well? He is, and that just shows you they're so close. One little mistake, and look, he's gone from 3rd down to 6th.
Yeah, he certainly has, and do you know who that means? It means that Vince Peters can make his way through the field as well, so Vince Peters making his way up, and Igor Kos has gone off now, so Igor Kos from quite high up in the Pro-Ams there, all by himself. From the looks of it there, that was just late on the brakes, the tail end locks up and spins out, and I didn't see any contact. We'll maybe have a look at a different angle, but that looked like it was all on Igor Kos there.
Yeah, it looked like he just got an outside wheel onto the grass going into Coppice and just lost the back end completely. We've seen it happen twice already for 2 different people. And like you said, I think it's going to happen again and again and again. Vince Peters, you can see, as you mentioned before, up into 6th place, fastest lap last time around, 10th quicker, or 10th and a half quicker than his next fastest man, Nick Madsen, who's ahead of him on track, but he's got a 2.5 seconds to gain. But as we know, with 13 and a half minutes left, that's more than capable for Vince Peters to gain, and he's only 3 seconds off the lead.
Unbelievable stuff here, unbelievable stuff. But wow, let's have a look at this then. So we're already, if you can believe this, David, nearly halfway into a race here. Vince Peters still the man to watch, and again, yeah, that's exactly what happened there. He was way ahead of the number 35 there of Stuart Reynolds, so that was all by himself, and there is nothing that rips the heart out of a driver more than knowing it's a mistake that they've done themselves, and so easy to do with these Porsche Cup cars. They are a very different beast to how you would imagine them. You see the GT3 variant that you see in the likes of iRacing and the Assetto Corsa Competizione, and they're nimble and they're wonderful things to handle. These things that feel like freight trains compared to their spec GT3 counterparts, but fun nonetheless, and make exceptional one car class racing. So we're really privileged to be watching this stuff here on the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup. But Jason Dilworth on the bumper cam of this. This is for P20 in overall, but it's P3 I believe in the AM class just now. And doing a cracking job of trying to catch on to the back of teammate Simon Underhill. Of course, these are both Nomad Sim Racing team drivers, so having a 1-2-3 right now is a brilliant thing, but I can't see too much fighting going on with these drivers.
No, absolutely. They're going to stick in the same position, aren't they? I mean, you can see Dan Gildy's got a little bit of a gap ahead, but he's in good company. He's got 2 guys behind him. They're going to back him up, and he should be all right for the rest of this one. Subject to L, assuming he doesn't make any mistakes. Laurent Benzo under pressure from Nick Madsen, who's under pressure from Vince Peters, coming out of Coppice. Goodness me, nearly tried the switchback. That is the inside of the Porsche Cup car, which is something I never thought I'd see. Oh, they're on the grass and into the wall, and Laurent Benzo on Starkey straight. Big incident there. That's meatball. That's gone. He's out of the race. Goodness me.
That was a hard hit into the wall, and it does impress me, David, that somehow they can find a way to crash car on straight. So we'll have a look at the replay there, and we'll have a little whinge and a moan about that in a couple of minutes' time. But the other thing that was a way to actually say, it feels a little bit redundant now after watching that, is the incredible pace here. We'll come back to that. So this is Laurent Benzo then, moves up the inside. Yeah, I get the feeling that it's either moving into a gap that didn't exist, or a car trying to close the gap a little bit too late, and I get the feeling it may have been the latter, but again, either way, that's been a car that's ended up into the barriers, and that's for race control to investigate that one properly. But the point there was a way to make there, David, was the fact that race pace from 1st to 27th on the grid there, separated by 1 second in their best time. So that just shows the amazing pace there. I love that helmet of Vince Peters and hate it at the same time.
It's one of those, isn't it? It's a blessing and a curse to see it. But yeah, I mean, look, when it's a shorter track, you're going to have those kind of smaller gaps in lap times. But to consider that across, like you say, 27 cars in 3 different classes, that is nothing short of impressive. That was one guy just losing the back end of the car going down through the crane of curves. Didn't quite catch who that was.
That was Bastian Maitler, the number 98 in the Pro class. Bastian Maitler coming adrift there.
Goodness me, yeah, you can see it, not the normal spot you'd expect to lose it. Oh, you can see, oh no, there you go, that's why. I thought he lost it down through the crane of curves. We were just coming out of red gate, yeah, just a little while. Quite easy to do there in the end, getting a wheel on the outside of the grass. And then, like you say, these cars are so difficult to balance at the best of times. A little bit too much power, and there you go. You see him off into the infield. Fortunately, nice big infield on the inside of the crane of curves there, so no instance with the wall on that occasion.
Yeah, it's brilliant to see. So we've hit the halfway mark in our first race, and again you can see the drivers just flirting with the edge of that curb on the outside of turn 1 at Redgate there, as we look at Budovan Kuster, our race leader, just 1/10 of a second over Francois Aldrini. It's Thomas Gillian in third place with Nick Maidson in fourth. Vince Peters moves up to fifth position with the downfall of Arias Diamantis and with Bastian Maitler as well, and that moves him into a decent position for our next race in about 10-15 minutes time here. But this AM battle, fascinating to watch as well, with the Pro-Ams as well. Pro-Ams is Harry Wills ahead of Cody Pride, Stuart Reynolds, Steve Martin, Dan Handover down into fifth position in the Pro-Ams, Dan Sedgley in sixth, James Fierro in 7th and Igor Kos in 8th position. Now, interesting to see Dan Handover and Daniel Sedgley together in 5th and 6th position, because we've seen previous rounds. And Thomas Gillian has had an off track, so Thomas Gillian is out of the position that he was in. He was in 3rd place from what I remember there. He drops all the way down to 6th place there, so gets going again. But that's a huge moment, and I get the feeling again it's going to be another spin there, David.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm expecting to see a replay any moment now of him just getting a wheel onto the gravel and just losing the back end, or losing the back end, or potentially just going a little bit too hot into one of the corners down the back end of the track. Then maybe the old hairpin, for example. What that's meant is, look at the gap at the top in the pro class, the top 4 drivers, just over a second between. God, Dalian there. Goodness me. Rinse, repeat. What's going on?
That is a strange accident going on there. I'll give you another laugh, because the AMs are about to get lapped already by the pros. Just now, Dan Handover having a look up the inside into Redgate Corner there. In fact, sorry, that's Dan Handover defending the place from Dan Sedgley, excuse me. So he's holding on to that position, and here comes Budovan Kuster trying to make a move. In fact, it's so difficult to hold on to what's happening, because this is Budovan Kuster holding on from Francois Aldrini, and just up the road there you can see that is indeed that's going to be Ross Dunstan, isn't it, that's just up in front of him. And yeah, this is all going to go wrong. You just get that feeling this is all going to go horribly wrong, because look who's in the background as well. Vince Peters in with a sniff of the lead with 7 minutes left to go. How does he do it? How does every single time it always comes down to the last 5 minutes, and Vince Peters somehow is in with a chance of winning it out of nowhere, as Arias Diamantis gets into the mix as well. But Vince Peters goes wide and starts hemorrhaging time, and is going to have to start defending that position. There's a little bit of door banging and rubbing and nudging and trading paint, and this is absolute madness. Dan Handover has had a collision with Dan Sedgley. He's went all the way back and falling through the order as well now. But this is an amazing battle. In fact, he's not had us coming together with Dan Sedgley. I apologise, Dan Sedgley. Dan Handover managed to do that all by himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Just lost it going through Robert Chicane. This is Harry Wills going alongside Cody Pride into McLean's. Is that going to work? Cody Pride up the inside. What a lovely move that is from the number 15 driver, and it goes past the Twisted Racing Red Machine. Number 95, Harry Wills. Fantastic move from him. Vince Peters somehow, if that's actually true, I'll be very impressed. No, it wasn't. I was going to say it looked like he just set the fastest lap. That was just his fastest lap. He didn't somehow set a fastest lap despite going wide of the old hairpin. So we're all right there. But look at the time he's gaining already. Look at these guys as well. So close through the final chicane. Just managing to hold on Cody Pride at the moment. That's going to get him back up to 8th on the grid. And that's going to put him in the lead in the Pro-Am class. So big moment for him. Can he finally, because he had a couple of instances in the last few races that have dropped him down the field, can he finally get that class win that he's been looking for?
I tell you what, I love these Race Anywhere Porsche Cup races because, David, they certainly make us earn our pennies in the commentary box here with all of the action going on there as Bidevin Kuster still trying to hold on to Francois Aldrini, Nick Maidson in the hunt as well, Vince Peters as well as Arias Yumantis coming in to cross for what looks like the 14th lap that they're away to start here. And look, there goes Vince Peters on the outside of Nick Maidson as they run down the start-finish straight. It's the last late breakers into turn one. I think surely Nick Maidson is going to hold on to this. He does hold on the inside, but only just. And Vince Peters still hold on right the outside, round Hollywood. They come down 2 by 2 into. That is going to be surely Nick Maidson's corner there. Vince Peters left out to dry, and that throws him into the vulnerable arms of Arias Yumantis, who looks to try and get round here as Francois Aldrini. There's contact, and Bidevin Kuster sent flying, and it returns the favour. Bidevin Kuster and Francois Aldrini around the corner. The two of them sent onto the grass at the exit of Schwanzkarve on the entry to McLean's, and that is highly, highly contentious because that now hands things on a silver platter to Vince Peters. Let's get a look here, and that was a move that was never, ever, ever on David Russell.
No, 2 into 1 was never going to go up there. Francois Aldrini surely knew that gap was going to close, and he got his just desserts, didn't he, when he got a clip from the spinning Bidevin Kuster. Looks like they've both fortunately managed to get back onto the track, which is good for them, but that's left, like you said, Vince Peters and Nick Maidson all alone. Well, not all alone, they've got Arias Yumantis within 0.3 of a second behind them, with a ringside seat of what is about to be one of the finest battles you are going to see this evening. 2 top of the championship in the pro class. Look how close they are going through the graded curves down into the old hairpin. There's 3 minutes left in this race. You're looking at 3-4 laps at most to finish this off before we go into the feature race just after this 45-minute sprint run to the finish. But this one is far from over because these two are so close going up into McLean's.
Right, we are going to have our work cut out in the next 3 minutes, David, because in the pros we've got Nick Maidson and Vince Peters. In the AM battle we've got Dan Gilding, Simon Underhill and Jason Underwood, and then Harry Wills fighting on to Cody Pride, just 0.4 of a second behind Cody Pride in the Pro-Am battle as well. So it is all going on. We will do our best to keep you up to breast with all of it as Vince Peters absolutely hammers the curb on that final chicane there, trying to keep as much momentum, as much pace in that car, and he's got an amazing run on Nick Maidson. He jinks to the left, jinks to the right, jinks to the left again, tries going round the outside of turn 1 then into Redgate. This is going to be with about 3 laps left to go here on the first race of the evening here, and what a cracker it has been. Look at that, down through Hollywood, down through the Craner curves into the old hairpin bend there. Amazing, amazing action here, but also don't discount Arias Yumantis there. Just 0.3 of a second. You can see picture in picture. We've got the live action there, and that is Simon Underhill. He is, of course, in the AM battle as well. So this is 1, 2, 3 for the. Sorry, this is 2, 3, 4 for the AM battle because Dan Gilding is about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds up the road of this lot just now. But amazing, amazing stuff. And with the final couple of minutes here, you get the impression that Vince Peters is almost, David, just biding his time. He's just waiting for the opportunity, and he's closer than he's ever been before. Look at that, 1/10 of a second. He's right on the back end of Nick Maidson, tries to take the inside line, forces Nick to go defensive early, tries to get him round the outside as well. This looks incredible, and you get the feeling, David, something has to give.
Oh, absolutely. Nick Madson's putting on an absolutely incredible defensive show at the moment. He just seems to have him just about at his arm's reach at the moment. That is a car off going into the old hairpin. That is, I think that might have been Dan Sedgley. I didn't quite catch who it was. It was one of the Pro-Am guys. Could see Dan Handover just in front going slowly. Fortunately, those guys have gotten out of the way pretty quickly indeed. Oh, it's Ryan Hamilton. Oh, no, it's not Ryan Hamilton. It's someone going into the back of Ryan Hamilton. He's then gone sideways. Oh, nearly collected Dan Handover for good keeping as well. But these guys are still so close. Is Vince Peters, with what, 1 lap to go after this one, is he going to try and make way through? He gets a really good run every time out of that rubber chicane. Will he try one final last ditch dive into Redgate onto the final lap?
We'll keep an eye in. He certainly has a look there, but he decides better of it. Mind games going on right now with Nick Mason. This is a defensive masterclass, but that is a sight you don't want to see. That's a scary, scary sight. Oh, Vince Peters going around the outside again. They're side by side, and it looks like this could be a better move for Vince Peters around the outside. He doesn't have the traction. The car slips away, and Nick Mason, crucially, has the inside line going back into Hollywood. Incredible, incredible stuff here as we have got 18 laps in the books here. They're side by side coming into the old hairpin again. I have never seen in my life anything as exhilarating as this. Nick Mason somehow David still holds on to the lead. Still in the lead of the AM class is Daniel Gilding, and still in the lead of the Pro-Ams is Cody Pride, but round the outside there's contact again, shown to the grass. Nick Mason really had to be quite robust there to hold on, and that hand sings to Arias Humantis, and this is going to be the final lap.
Oh my goodness me, you said watch out for Arias Humantis. What is he going to do? And somehow, going into the final couple of corners, he's got the lead. It's ridiculous.
Unbelievable stuff. Into the final chicane then, for the final time of asking. It's going to be Arias Humantis, or is it, because here comes Nick Madsen, it's going to be a charge to the finish, but it's going to be a win for Arias Humantis, the unlikeliest of winners of this race. Second place goes to Nick Mason. Benjamin Kuster somehow takes third. Vince Peters into fourth position. Francois Aldrini will take fifth. Thomas Gurlean in sixth, and Bassi Meitler in seventh place. But here comes the Pro-Ams then. An inspired performance from Cody Pride. We haven't seen as much of him as we should have, but what a win for Cody Pride, ahead of Harry Wills by 2.1 seconds. Stuart Reynolds takes third place in Pro-Am. Fourth place for Steve Martin. Dan Sedgley will finish in fifth place in class. James Fierro in sixth. Igor Kos is going to cross in seventh in that Pro-Am class. But here comes Dan Gilding. It's been an amazing battle for the AMs as well. Dan Gilding takes the win in AMs. Simon Underhill in second. Jason Dilworth in third. Eric Benson in fourth. Chris Chatterton in fifth position. Ryan Hamilton in sixth. And oh my God, David Russell, that final 2.5 minutes, I have never in my life, I've said this so often about this series, I've never seen anything like it. I have never seen anything like that final 2.5 minutes.
That was absolutely incredible, and we've got that all to go again in a few minutes' time as well. That was insane. Look at that. Top five separated by 1.5 seconds. You cannot write it. How they managed to keep that on the track and not end up in the walls as quickly as it did is beyond me. And that run through the crane of curves into the old hairpin was ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it. If we get even if we get half of the action in the feature race, I'll sleep well tonight.
Yeah, for sure. So confirmation then of the results there for the Pro-Ams as well. Cody Pride taking the win ahead of Harry Wills and Stuart Reynolds. Steve Martin in fourth, Dan Sedgley in fifth, James Fierro in sixth, Igor Kos in seventh, Dan Handover finishing a lap behind. Moving on to the AM then, Dan Gilding, as we said, taking a well-deserved win, but it did come down towards the end there with Simon Underhill in second place, Jason Dilworth in third, Eric Benson in fourth, Chris Chatterton in fifth, Ryan Hamilton in sixth, Ross Dunstan in seventh, John Williams in eighth, Dean Timms in ninth, and Thomas Worm Jr. finishing a lap down in 10th position. Right, we need to go and get a quick break to get some air and some juice and some chill time. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back after this.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup EU. This is round 6 at Donnington. David Christie and David Wrestle here. We've suitably calmed down. We've got a juice. We're rather chilled. David, what the hell happened in race 1?
Oh, I mean, to tell you what, I think I've only just chilled out, to be fair. That was incredible. The amount of action. I actually sent the link to a mate of mine who's busy, who's not busy at the moment. He's just watched it and gone, that is nuts. Like, I just said to him, watch the last few minutes and you'll see some of the best racing you think you'll ever see. And I think that's what we witnessed, I think. And I mean, there's not much more you can say about it, is there? It was sensational.
Yeah, it was awesome stuff. Well, we're lucky enough to be joined by a regular in the commentary box, Dan Handover, who unfortunately didn't fare too well in that first race. Dan, I mean, it was looking so good. You were fighting really hard with Dan Sedgley. What happened towards the end there?
Do you know what? Your guess is as good as mine. I don't actually know, to be honest. The combination of things, having a little bit of time away from the sim through various things, has then obviously you come back in, and then all of a sudden you're sitting and you're going, uh-oh, when you're sort of in testing. So yeah, there was a couple of things there that I just didn't quite go my way. I was driving the car too hard into the corner, I think, which didn't help the situation. So this race, I think it's just sort of back it off a little bit and gradually build up the pace. I probably think I went in a little bit too hot. You think people have done some really good practice, and there's really quick guys in the Pro Am, like really, really fast. I think I got sucked into trying to drive as quickly as them, which I, at the moment, can't quite manage.
Now, what I'm worried about is the fact that they're in practice session for the 45-minute race, and I'm not seeing Dan Handover on the timing screens. What's the script?
Do you know what? It's from a perspective of when you're actually going into a race here. For me now, I know what I need to do. I will probably end up. It's very easy to actually, especially for me and other people have found it as well. You can actually sometimes get a bit too sort of frustrated because you have to do a couple of laps. You only get to do at the moment another 2 or 3 laps before the warm-up, and then you're straight into the race. So at the moment, I'd rather just take the downtime, have a bit of a break, get a drink, get ready, and then go, rather than sort of trying to get a couple of laps in, trying to just. Because at the moment, there's no point adjusting anything now.
Oh, so we are getting you back in race 2 then.
Yes, yeah. So race 2, yeah. I just want to be in the warm up. I'm in the session now. I just want a bit of downtime. I'm not going to change anything now in terms of like driving style. It's more so just going to be backing it off a little bit, taking it easy, and gradually building up as we go.
And when we're talking about the Porsche Cup cars, how they differ from the likes of what you'd see in the GT3 variant, and they really are a different beast, aren't they? They somehow feel a lot heavier and a lot more like a bull.
Yeah, it's like a half GT3 car, isn't it? It's got the power. It's definitely fast. Unfortunately, it's just that, it just hasn't got the downforce. Which maybe that's also a bit of an adjustment, to be fair. I think before I took the sort of hiatus away for a few weeks, I've driven the LMP2 and then the GT3s. So coming into the Cup car again, I didn't give myself enough time to prep. So, there is always that little bit of jumping into the car, sort of forgot that, oh no, hang on a minute, this hasn't got the downforce. And I think for the first like 3 or 4 laps of my testing, it was just sailing off into every corner, locking the brakes up, and it didn't go to plan. But hey ho, I still had a bit of good racing for what it sounds like as well. Everyone had, there was some pretty good action to watch. So
awesome stuff. Well, listen, it's always a pleasure, Dan, to have you here in the commentary box. Join us. There's 15 seconds left in the warm-up session, so we'll let you go and get ready for the race. Best of luck.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
So, David, interesting insight there from Dan Handover there about his race specifically, and the extra pressure that drivers can put on themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, he's sitting pretty in kind of the middle of the Pro-Am class in the points at the moment, so it's good that he's come back out. Of course, it could potentially, based on the way it's gone, it could end up being a drop round for him anyway. Of course, every driver gets one drop round, which is either their worst score or one of the rounds they don't actually aren't able to attend. So it's good for him to do, and like you say, I think he's hit the nail on the head. If he's come from cars with so much more downforce, he mentioned the LMP2 and GT3s, didn't he? If you then come into this, which so maybe, like you said, you call it maybe a GT 3.5, it can be very difficult. I know going from GT3s to GT4s, for example, is quite a difficult thing to do. So interesting ways looking at it. I personally would have tried to get a few more practice laps in, but I say each their own. He starts on pole for this one, as you can see, and hopefully he'll have a slightly less eventful race than the last one and try and get a few more points on the board.
Well, talking off the grid, let's take you through it then. For the pros, it's Bastian Maitler leading off the field alongside him on row 1, Thomas Gildlian. Row 2 is going to be Francois Aldrini and Vince Peters starting from 4th position. Budivin Kuster in row 3 in 5th position alongside Nick Maidson. Arias Humantis in 7th and Laurent Benzo rounds out the field for the pros. For the Pro-Ams, it's going to be Dan Handover and Igor Kos in row 1. Row 2 is James Fierro and Dan Sedgley. Steve Martin and Stuart Reynolds on row 3. Row 4 is going to be Harry Wills and Cody Pride after that amazing win. Thomas Firm Jr. on row 1 leads the Anfield with Dean Timms. Ross Dunstan leads row 2 with John Williams. Chris Chatterton and Ryan Hamilton on row 3. Jason Dilworth and Eric Benson on row 4. And then on row 5 is Dan Gilding and Simon Underhill for the AM class. Right, we're heading down Starkeys then for our 45-minute race. No pit stops plans. Again, yeah, it's a difficult one. What do we expect on this one, David?
Well, I mean, plenty more of the same, I think. It's a 20-minute race last time. I don't think they're going to change their tack, are they? I think these guys are so closely matched over a lap, no matter what class they're in. I think there's always going to be battles, and hopefully we see a little bit more of that again tonight.
Yep, well, here we go through the final corner then. The pace car peels off. Bastian Maitler and Thomas Gildlian lead off that group of 8-9 pro cars to get going. You can see the Pro-Am cars making their way down Starkey Straight. In the background, lights go off. We go racing for 45 minutes. More action and fun and adventure, and they all somehow get themselves back through. Vince Peters shuffled down from 4th place to 6th place already, and possibly even further down as well, as Laurent Benzo tries to make a move as well. But look at the Pro-Ams, they are poised, ready, willing, waiting to go. The green flag flies and we are underway for the Pro-Ams as well. And that's a great start for Dan Handover. He leaves Igor Kos to the wolves of the pack behind him, and again we turn our attention to the AM class as we see the cars making their way into Redgate for the first time of asking. Dan Handover though for the Pro-Ams is away, as is Thomas Firm Jr. gets a cracking start for that AM battle going on just now. And we start our first lap for 45 minutes, and we look at the pros already and look at Bastian Maitler, and that's Nick Maidson, and up the inside. Surely that is not going to work for Laurent Benzo. He's somehow done it. Laurent Benzo takes the move, gets 5th place out of absolutely nowhere, and Vince Peters is caught napping in between a rock and a hard place, moves over to the outside. No way has he just done that. He's tried to go round the two outside of two of them for turn 1. There's contact and Vince Peters gets sent into the inside. I think that was the number 10, wasn't it, that got sent spinning round, and Laurent Benzo has been dumped off at turn 1 in the unpolitest way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Same again, just cut across someone. It looked like, I didn't quite catch, hopefully we'll get a replay of it in a few moments time, but just looked like a repeat of race 1, but just obviously on a different part of the track. Just went to cover off something that really probably shouldn't have been covered. Vince Peters, was round the outside. You can see he's on the outside there. I mean that's 2 Porsche Cup cars having making some babies there by the looks of it, which is quite interesting. Fortunately, Humantis has managed to get caught in as well, but unfortunate for Benzo, it looks like he's still running. Budivin Kuster's just dropped back a couple of positions. He's gone off track as well, but that's benefited Vince Peters and Nick Madsen massively. They're back up into the top 4.
Wow, huge drama in the first 2.5 minutes of this 45-minute race. You can see Chris Chatterton and Eric Benson, they've had it coming together as well at the back of the Amfield as well. But this is looking at Harry Wills at the back of that Pro Amfield. He has dropped back, trying to claw his way back, obviously getting that reverse grid from the first race with him and Cody Pride trying to work their way through. We've got Jean Fierro, who's gone off at the final chicane as well. He gets shuffled down to the back of the grid here. And this is a replay then of what happened with Laurent Benzo. And it did look like what we call in the industry a little bit of netcode, because the car just morphs through another. I've never seen that during an actual race before. I've seen a lot of confusion. And what happens there, just to very briefly explain, is that obviously with computers, the computers take time to talk to each other. And sometimes the computers can take too long to talk to each other. And they get a little bit confused in the time that it's happened, because you think, all of these drivers are racing in real time, David, and sometimes that information, there's a little bit of a discrepancy from the client to the server, and there can be a little bit of a disagreement on what is actually happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for the first point, I feel like I've just had the most interesting computer science lesson of my life, so thank you for that. But yeah, no, it's absolutely right. And it was really, realistically, it was actually the contact, it looked like with Nick Madsen, that shoved Laurent Benzo off onto the outside of the track, wasn't it? So unfortunate. It's one of those things, it's impossible to avoid on some circumstances. It's just weird. Like I say, I've seen netcode happen before, but not really to that extent where cars kind of morph into each other. So very strange indeed. But Ross Dunstan losing the position to Jason Dilworth there, or is he? No, he's trying to make the move, but doesn't make it on that occasion. But these AM guys really, really close together at the moment.
Yeah, huge fight for the lead then with the AM Championship, because Thomas Verm fighting it out tooth and nail with Dean Timms and Ryan Hamilton right now. This is a cracking little battle. In fact, let's see if we can stay on this for a little bit, because this is by far the closest action that we have got on the field just now, and this is the only lead for that's under contention in the classes as well. So it does look like Thomas Verm has decided to try and stretch away, as Hamilton trying to go around the outside. Doesn't quite make it work there, but yeah, fair play to Ryan Hamilton. He is absolutely giving it everything he possibly can as Laurent Benzo heads into the pits there. And also seeing another driver off. I think that might have been Dan Sedgley going off briefly. That would have been through into the final chicane. But the speed in which he rejoined means that I'm not really too concerned about him there. But this is Igor Kos and Dan Handover then fighting for the lead of the Pro-Ams. And again, we saw Dan Handover getting that lead and stretching away quite comfortably. Now that gap's been brought right back down, and he has got a proper train, because he's got not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, 7 cars right behind him. It's a handover from Igor Kos, from Dan Sedgley, Steve Martin, Cody Pride, Harry Wills, Stuart Reynolds, all in there. And David, throw a dart at a dartboard, and that is going to be your winner for the Pro-Am class.
Absolutely. What a moment we've got at the moment. That is 9. Well, that's all but one of the Pro-Am drivers on the one screen at the moment. This is Cody Pryor looking at the inside down Starkey's into the final chicane. Is he going to make the move on Steve Martin? It's very late. It's very ballsy. He's not quite made it on this occasion. Is he going to get the right exit, though? He might not, and he's going to be susceptible to Harry Wills in that twisted racing car. Is he going to try and outside going into Redgate? Vince Peters has tried this move and it's not worked. No disrespect to Cody Pride, but that's going to be a very difficult move to pull off for even the best of people, and these guys are not managing it. He's going to potentially, and has done, he's nearly been nerfed out to the outside by Harry Wills, who's trying to make the move through as they go down through Hollywood into the crane of curves. This is giving Steve Martin a chance to make a little bit of a break for it, but going down into the old hairpin, Harry Wills takes a few corners to get it done, but lovely move that man. Fantastic stuff. Got taken on the first race and losing the class win as a result, but manages to get past the number 15 car in the second race there. Really good stuff from him.
Oh, this is starting to get spicy with just 39 minutes left to go in the race, and I've got to be honest, I don't know if these cars are going to last the 39 minutes before trading paint right now. And the leads of the pro class as well. Thomas Gillian starting to close that gap quite quickly on Francois Aldrini. We'll keep an eye on that one as well. And the battle for AM has absolutely exploded now. Just like Pro-Am, we've now got 5 cars all fighting for the lead, all within a second and a half of each other right now. Amazing stuff. And this is exactly what we thought we were going to see. This is what we were kind of denied a little bit. It was a little bit scrappy in the first race, David, where the cars were a little bit spread out, but this is more what we've seen every single week from the Race Anywhere Porsche series. And we see Jason Dilworth trying to make a move on the outside of John Williams into Redgate. That's never going to work. You can see picture in picture, that is the Pro-Am. There goes Igor Kos again on the inside. He's going to have the run into McLean's, and Dan Handover tries to show him the door, tries to go around the outside, but it's going to be Dan Handover's corner. And yet again, he's going to have to watch out because there's Dan Sedgley having a little look there and trying to make things stick. And meanwhile, Vince Peters, while we've been having a look at this battle here, Vince Peters in the pro class now up into 3rd place as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at this. Is Nick Madsen got at the inside into the old hairpin on Vince Peters? Are they going to make contact? They're not. Oh, goodness me. Thought he was going to get the switchback, but what a move that is. As late as you dare from Nick Madsen. This is exactly what we want to see, isn't it? 2 championship rivals fighting tooth and nail. It is close quarters combat. It is hard, but it is absolutely fair. That was unbelievable stuff from the 2 of them there.
To see that sort of move pulled on Vince Peters, that is outrageous, and they're still side by side, 0.02 seconds splitting them right now, and that looks like Vince Peters is going to be trying to make the move. In fact, no, he does this quite a lot. He just sits back and waits. Meanwhile, who's not waiting is the Pro-Am battle, because everybody is deciding to knock lumps out of everybody else. No word of a lie in that one. And again, Dan Handover gets to sneak away. He gets to make a little bit of a gap for himself. 0.7 of a second ahead of Igor Kost. Now, Igor Kost is maybe a little bit more concerned with Dan Sedgley, Steve Martin, Harry Wills and Cody Pride in his rear view mirror than he is on trying to catch up to Dan Handover. Francois Aldrini having a little bit of a wobble wide there, gets back on track. That's going to be down into the first corner there. He's under real intense pressure from Thomas Gildelyan. You can see the arm battle is starting to stretch out a little bit there on the picture. That is Dean Timms now with 4 other cars, because Thomas Verne Jr., now we missed that, Thomas Verne Jr. was in the lead of that and had been put all the way back, and that's a huge start line incident. Thomas Verne Jr. gets sent sideways and collects 2 other cars, gets going again, but that we need to find out what happened to Thomas Verne Jr. because he was into to 2nd place there, unless it wasn't actually Thomas there. He just loses it. So that wasn't Thomas that spun, it was the car in front of him that spun. He gets going again. Oh my goodness me. So that is absolutely huge.
Yeah, you see Dean Timms just gets on the curb. Oh yeah, unsurprising. We've seen the guys go over those sausage curbs on the inside of those two chicanes very often through there, and all that's the 56 Jason Dill with nothing he could do there. Proper T-bone incident there, big time for those 2. Fortunately, so he's not going to do them any physical pain, which is fortunate for them. But yeah, big incident from them, which is really unfortunate to see. And look at this Pro-Am class fit battle at the moment. What's impressing me is the fact that they're so close together. For one, they're not anywhere near each other, knocking each other off the track at the moment. I say, which 2. And if they continue doing what they're doing, if they do continue to battle the way they are, Joan Fierro's actually starting slowly but surely, I'll give you, but he's closing that gap. He's only 8.5 seconds back now. If they continue where they are, that could be the entire Pro-Am battle within a few seconds of each other, battling for the lead.
Yeah, that would be something else entirely, and I can't believe we've already done 11 minutes here on Donnington Park, round 6 of the Race Anywhere Porsche Series, and a huge thank you to our commercial partners over at Race Anywhere, at Sim3D, World Series Leagues and Go for the Gap as well from Cammy Starch. Good friends of mine and know our artwork very, very well. Back to the race at hand though, we're watching in the main picture there, Harry Wills getting very, very I want to say intently followed by Cody Pride, but Cody Pride actually making a mistake there and loses out that position to Stuart Reynolds now. So Cody Pride was looking very handy to try and take that position there, but he overcooked it going into the corner, David, and ends up losing that position. And we see this time and time again where drivers are, it's such a cliche, isn't it, caught between a rock and a hard place. Well, what does that actually mean? Well, it means you're so close to the car in front that you want to try and make a move, but if you don't pull that off, you run the risk. And we've got a car off in the background. That is in the pros. Who is that has gone off there? I will get an idea on that. Is that Budovin Kuster? No, it's Chris Chatterton from the AMS. Tries to get going again, but stops the car just in time. So yeah, very, very good awareness there from Chris Chatterton, who now goes a lap down there. But again, that whole point of being stuck in between a rock and a hard place, it's really, if you've got a move that you want to try and make, you better make sure you do it, because the quality of this field is going to make you pay for it if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't make the move properly, you've lost a position 100%, especially in this Pro-Am class at the moment. I mean, you can see Igor Kost starting to drift a little bit back from Dan Handover. He's starting to kind of feel his way around a bit more. You see that gap is starting to form a little bit. You see picture in pitch, that's Thomas Goldalian of Benso Racing, the number 3, all over the back of the number 29 Monaco Esports driver Francois Rodrini for the battle for the lead of the race. Vince Peters and Nick Madsen still line astern as they have been for the last few laps. Steve Martin, though, gets a really good run. He's all over the back of Dan Sedgley coming up through towards McLean's. He's not going to make a move this time. It's not really a prime overtaking spot into these next two corners, but if you can get a good run out of Coppice, he might have a chance to put him under some increasing pressure going into the Robert chicane. But again, it's one of those. Do you shift out to try and get your opponent to kind of be a little bit aware of the fact they're in your mirrors? But then do you compromise yourself going into the corner? It's a very difficult balancing act, and in the main, to be fair, these guys do normally get it pretty spot on.
Yeah, and that always brings me back to Vince Peters, because he more than most seems to be a driver that can nail that judgment of whether to push or whether just to hold it in. As we see on the inside, then that is Harry Wills trying to fire it up the inside. I think that was of Steve Martin. Igor Koss also in the mix there as well, down through the Craner curves, and this makes me a little bit nervous watching all this Dyson as well, because doors close very, very quickly, and that's exactly what's happened there to Steve Martin. He tried to have a look around the outside, the door closed on him, and he has lost so many positions because of that, sent to the back of that train, and Harry Wills left to fight with his teammate Stuart Reynolds.
Yeah, absolutely. It just looked like he tried to go up the inside of Igor Koss into the old hairpin. Did Steve Martin there, and it just didn't work, did it? You should see, I think that was Harry Wills going sideways coming out of Coppice. That's not the quickest way onto Starkey Straight. You can see he's under pressure as a result. But yeah, it is exactly what we've been talking about. It goes for a move that probably doesn't need to be made, loses three or four positions as a result. It does mean that this Pro-Am class is starting to drift out a little bit. You can see there's a couple of gaps forming. We're starting to get what you call battle packs, I suppose. But look, they're not going to stop anytime soon, are they? These guys are racing for every single lap of this race, and that's what we love about this series. We haven't really seen many races, if at all, where there's been anyone really kind of stopping for pause for breath. I see John Williams there going wide, trying to put a move on Simon Underhill, doesn't manage it, and fortunately, despite the fact that grass can be very slippery, manages to keep it hold of it and manages to maintain the position, and we'll start to put that battle on again.
Yeah, fantastic stuff to watch. The gap between Francois Aldrini and Thomas Gillian now starting to go up ever so slightly now, about half a second. Cody Pride goes off track very slightly as well. This is the battle then for the AMs. This is Eric Benson trying to catch up onto the tail end of Thomas Verm Jr. We get a replay here. This is where Cody Pride went a little bit wide there. A little bit of a fishtail there. Very lucky to hold on to it. But, oh, there's a huge moment there from Eric Benson, and that is going to be into the gravel for, I believe, was that Thomas Verm Jr., the 73. That was a forklift of a move.
I was going to say he turned Thomas Verm Jr. into a snowplow. I've never seen anything like it. I wish we could see how that had actually come to blows. It looked like he might have just, as we've seen it a few times, going up through Schwantz Curve and up into McLean's. It just looked like he maybe got on the inside and just couldn't dislocate himself from Thomas Verm Jr.'s car. Really, really strange. Not what you'd expect a replay to be shown to you at any point during this one. I would like to say.
I'm not gonna lie. The immature person in me finds that quite funny, but obviously, oh, here we go. So it's going to be a move off the inside. Tries to close the door. I'm going to leave that one for the stewards to decide. But for me, you've got to leave room for if the car's even slightly up inside you, then you've got to try and leave a bit of room. As Eric Benson, a bit of rally crossing there, fair play. It's I believe that's maybe a sport he's wanting to try out, but Eric Benson gets back onto the black stuff, gets going again, and well, this has been a very interesting little minute and a half now for the AMS, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of them. It looked to me, like you say, Eric probably was going for a move that he shouldn't have done, because he was going to have the outside going into McLean's anyway. So I think it was one of those that personally I'd have backed out of. But again, it's very difficult in these sort of circumstances. But when you look at how it happened, it almost looked as if he was trying to do that classic thing where, oh God, I've hit someone. Maybe if I can get the chance to, I'll just kind of shift them back, point in the right direction. But he just got stuck to the car. And yeah, really, really strange. Not something I think I've seen before. Highly unlikely I'll ever see it again, but I enjoyed it nonetheless.
Yeah, it's a very, very strange one nonetheless. But anyway, back to the Pro-Am battle. Now, being quite honest with you, Dan Handover is absolutely away.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done. I mean, we chatted to him before this race began, and his so Igor Kos gets under brakes, locks up the rears. Oh, horrible moment for the number 11 car there. Stan essentially promotes himself up into second in class. Unfortunate for Igor Kos there. I mean, you could see exactly what happened. Brake bias towards the rear as Harry Wills goes at the inside into Redgate. Is he going to make the move on Dan? Essentially, he is. And that is as opportunist as you like, a little bit of a wiggle for good measure on the exit. But that is Harry Wills up from fourth to second in class within the matter of 2 corners.
Oh, now here's a little interesting stat for you. Thomas Gildlian was about half a second behind Francois Aldrini. That gap's now about a second and a half. Now who's just behind him? Nick Maidson and Vince Peters. Again, somehow Vince Peters could be in with a shout of doing this as Nick Maidson goes up the inside of... Is that Steve Martin that he's just done there, the number 93? That means that they're already up to the pro class. It's already potentially a lap down. What?
I think it was Eric Benson, wasn't it? He's just gone past, which is
there, 51.
Still equally impressive. It's unbelievable how they've managed to do that so quickly, and that's proven very difficult. I mean, you can see that there's a second between them, second and a half max, but there's at least 3 or 4 back markers in between them. But you see, Stuart Reynolds, getting the fishtail and coming out the final chicane. He's going to be under pressure from Cody Pride. As a result, he's going around the outside into Redgate. Moves done before the apex of the corner. That shows you how one little mistake getting too hot and heavy on those curbs can really ruin your exit, and that is a position lost for Stuart Reynolds in the process. Yeah, beautiful sun starting to set here at Donnington Park, and we see Nick Maidson in the final chicane again, just absolutely hammers that curb and looks like he's taking a little bit too much out of it. But look at this now, he's on the tail of Thomas Gildlian here, 9/10 of a second, and making his way through into Redgate. All sorts of traffic that we're seeing in the mix of this, and I wonder how much this is going to cause issues for the pro class, because we're halfway into the race, and you've got to think that this is now going to start affecting them. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you saw there, Nick Madsen made the move on one of the back markers. I didn't quite catch who it was. I think it was John Williams at the perfect time, because it put then a car between himself and Vince Peters. And look at the gap extending now. It was 2/10 before. It's nearly 6/10 of a second now through the space of about 3 or 4 seconds on track. So it's really proving a good move there. You can see Dan Sedgley got the inside of Harry into Redgate once more. It's a role reversal of what we saw before. Cody Pride, ringside seat of this one. Is he going to try and make a move himself? It looked like, I thought Harry Wills had gone a little bit wide there. He hasn't. And this is all playing into Dan Handover's hands. I'm sure we'll be having, at this rate, we'll be having a chat with him at the end of this one in 25 minutes' time, potentially at the top of the Pro-Am podium, because he is having it all his own way. He's driving off into the distance quite comfortably, and he's got these lot battling away hammer and tongs behind him. Yeah, and talking of this lot, then this is Ryan Hamilton, this is Ross Dunstan. Now, 16 seconds, is that right? The gap for Ryan Hamilton is 16 seconds over Ross Dunstan right now. That is an insane amount of gap, if that is... No, sorry, excuse me, that's Ross Dunstan. So I'm absolutely right. Ross Dunstan is 16 seconds behind Ryan Hamilton. That is an impressive lead, but... Cody Pride hammering the curbs on the outside there, and that means that Martin and Reynolds, Steve Martin and Stuart Reynolds, having to fight it out. And tell me that's not Reynolds trying to fight up the inside at Redgate. He looked very, very close into doing it. It was actually Steve Martin, but keeps the position, so it's as you were. And now, what has happened to Vince Peters? Because he's now falling off rapidly. What has happened to Vince Peters? That is what I want to know, because his pace is dropping off quite significantly. So this is into the corner there. Now this is with some lap traffic, tries to rejoin, and he just loses a couple of seconds out there. So nothing too untoward, but
That's an uncharacteristic error as Nick Maidson takes second place, but can't quite seal it yet because they're side by side as Nick Maidson and Charles Gillian fighting. There's contact. Gillian shown to the outside of the old hairpin, and Nick Maidson. This is a new transformed Nick Maidson, a completely different character from the driver we've seen through the championship so far, because his elbows are well and truly out at the dinner table tonight, ladies and gentlemen. A brilliant move from Nick Maidson to take second place in this second race of the evening here, and this is the drive of a potential champion here.
Yeah, absolutely. He knows he needs to start clawing back some points on Vince Peters, and that is exactly what he's doing now. Big move on Gildalian, wasn't it? He just looked like Thomas just got a little bit hot and heavy on the brakes going into the old hairpin, and I think that's what made him kind of turn into a little bit tighter into the corner and have that little kind of nudge, but fortunately didn't have any negative impact on either of them. And you can see that, I can't quite see, I think Vince Peters is in the middle of those two back markers just in the background of your picture. Which is going to be slowing him down even more. You can see he's 2.3 seconds adrift now of Gildalian, so that's going to put him it's going to make it very difficult for him to catch Nick Madsen. Of course, we're just over the halfway point. 3.5 seconds is the gap between Madsen and Aldrini, and that, to me, on the form Nick Madsen's on at the moment, that is potential to be clawed back very, very quickly.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I'm just thinking about this. So obviously the rules don't state that there's any mandatory pit stops, but I know that the fuel tanks are capped at 50%. So I'm wondering, is that enough, do we think, for a 45-minute race? I think it should be.
You'd think it would, yeah. I mean, it's difficult to say, isn't it? We'll only find out towards the back end. As you can see, yeah, that's Vince Peters going past. I think that's Ross Dunstan, and that's Jason Dilworth in the background, just going past Jason Dilworth without the bonnet on his car at the moment, looking a little bit worse for wear. But yeah, I think, well, we've seen contrasting opinions, haven't we? I think at Watkins Glen we didn't see everyone going for a pit stop at the sprint race at the Red Bull Ring. We did. It wasn't the Red Bull Ring, was it? It was actually somewhere else entirely. But you know what I mean? Like, it seems to be dependent on the track itself. I don't know whether that's definitely going to be the case, but...
Well, David, just to answer that question, I've been on the Discord drivers chat, and they're saying that it is going to be a one-stop race. So the consensus is they will have to stop for this race too. That is, that's going to be very, very spicy. Given that we're already 25 minutes into it, the question is, when do the drivers take their pit stops? Surely the consensus is going to be that they leave it right until the last gasp.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got that risk on such a short track where you don't know necessarily where you're going to come out from. It's so difficult to kind of pick up on it, and most of these guys I would expect aren't going to have someone kind of crunching the numbers and going, right, you're going to come out exactly on this position on track. So the safer thing to do is, like you said, is to leave it as late as you dare. Although saying that, just we see that Ross Dunstan goes against the grain and comes in for his, what we can only assume is his mandatory pit stop.
What I love about this championship is these cars, the Porsches. They are elegant, they're refined, they're beautiful, beautiful machines. And then you see that. I'm not sure what we've got left of Jason Dilworth's car, but it's what I could describe, right? If for those of you that are maybe just listening in, right, to describe this car of Jason Dilworth. I am very short-tempered. It's like I got one of those little Airfix kits for Christmas, right? And I've tried making it, and it's all went horribly, horribly wrong. That is what Jason Dilworth's car looks like just now. There is not much left of it.
What was it you said last week at the Nordschleife? One responsible owner, I think it was.
One careful owner, yeah.
One careful owner, that's exactly what that looks like. It is, second-hand, to say the least. And I mean, it just shows you how good the damage model is on iRacing, doesn't it, to be fair? Because I think anytime you do get these incidents, it does make it look very realistic in terms of what's happened. Although he's not going to have any issue to cooling, put it that way, because he's going to get a lot of air into that engine over the next 20 minutes or so.
Oh, David, let's not even get me on to the subject of the iRacing damage model. You sneeze at that thing the wrong way, and you're in for 15 minutes of mandatory repairs. And even then, your car's still going to be crabbing anyway. It's a one and done thing usually with damage in iRacing. But Thankfully, it's not something we have to contend with too often because we get incredible racing just like this with 20 minutes left to go, 26 and a half minutes gone on the clock here. This is the huge battle that's going on right now between Wills, Sedgley, Pride and Reynolds. A four-way scrap for the lead. And here we go, down into Redgate. It's Sedgley on the outside. Dan Sedgley of Harry Wills can't make the move stick. But again, Cody Pride fancies his chances in there. And if you're wondering what has happened to our Pro-Am leader, Dan Handover, he's obviously, I'm presuming, gone into the pits.
Well, I thought that myself, but he's not got a pit complete
He
on his
hasn't?
timing sheet. I'm not sure what's happened. I don't know if we can get a replay of it, but he's clearly lost it at some point.
He has absolutely lost it. So we can blame you then for that one, David, because you were saying he's already... Oh, no. That's exactly the same place that he's done it.
Yeah.
So that's the end of it, and he's obviously just come back on that one. That is...
Yeah, really weird.
But he had the pace to catch them back up, so fingers crossed he can just sort of put the foot down and get straight back onto the tail end of this group here.
Yeah, the lesser spotted, delayed commentator's curse, I think we'll call that. There you can see. There's that just coming out of... That's coming out of the old hairpin, I think. Going under Starkey's bridge. You can see there all four of the top, or the now top four, going past him.
David, what's happened to Thomas Gilderlean? Thomas Gilderlean's had a spin as well. He was in second place and is now down into fourth. So Francois Aldrini safe in the lead of this race, but that means that Nick Maidson then into that second place. So it's going to be on the exit of the corner. That's out of McLean's, and that is a tank slapper and a half there. And that then leads to late braking into Coppice, and he goes straight off into the gravel. So Thomas Gilderlean, that is 0 to 0 in very, very quick succession. Meanwhile, Dan Sedgley under all sorts of pressure right now, trying to stay on to the back of Harry Wills, but has to watch out for Cody Pride. I tell you what, I fancy Cody Pride's chances for making it 2 out of 2 tonight here.
Yeah, absolutely. He's looking like he's in prime position, isn't he? Of course, don't count out Stuart Reynolds or any of the top 5, really. I think Dan Handover's still got a chance to come in. And of course, we've got Steve Martin as Cody Pride loses the back end, and as a result, looks for a stylish entry.
It's fine. It's fine. That was planned. He meant to do that.
That is the most stylish pit entrance you will ever see in your life. He was one of them, yeah. He's fallen over and just got back up and just pretended to carry on walking the same way. No, it was Dan Sedgley. Apologies. Yeah.
I was slightly confused there because we were talking about Cody Pride, and then of course we're thinking, we went and jinxed them straight away again, and that's exactly what happened there. So Stuart Reynolds almost into the back there, as we see Vince Peters into pit lane as well now. So Vince Peters, the first of the pro class to blink. So does then Bonaventuster and Arius Yamantis now. So it looks like 30 minutes is going to be the go time for pit stops coming in here, and that means now, David, we're going to have a 15-minute dash for the cash.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can see 3 of them. Yeah, Kuster and Yamantis into there as well. Like you said, Steve Martin, he's pitted from the Pro-Am class. So we'll see where he comes out. He's 19 seconds behind Vieira at the moment, so he's starting to drop back. He was 17 seconds before, so not quite going his way. Kuster just coming out of the pits at the moment. Peters has already left pit lane. I'd imagine that Arius Yamantis will come out as well. They've come out, unfortunately for them, behind the top 3 battle for the Pro-Am class. So that is not exactly what they'd have wanted. You'd think they'll catch up to them pretty quickly, and then they'll probably, because they're on the same lap, they'll struggle to get past and lose a hell of a lot of time. So Aldrini pits from the lead now.
Yep, here we go then. So this is basically everything all starting to come to fruition. We'll have to give it another couple of minutes to see exactly how this all pans out, but we're watching Stuart Reynolds here trying to catch on to the back of Cody Pride here, and Cody Pride just falling a little bit of a way behind Henry Wills. The problem with that as well, with the fact that Harry Wills in the lead of that Pro-Am class as well, we look at Dan Sedgley. He's the one we've got to keep our eyes on, because again, he is in the lead of the championship coming into this round. Now, again, I don't have a clue what the first race has done to the championship points, so I'm just going back to how things were as we came into this round. Stuart Reynolds into to pit lane here, but again, it's so difficult to predict how this is all going to pan out, because for the looks of it, Nick Maidson is the only car that hasn't pitted at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see Harry Wills and Cody Pride still yet to pit in the Pro-Am class, but Pro class it's just Nick Madsen who hasn't pitted yet. I think he will at some point. So yeah, you could just see he's just come into the pit lane now. I'm keen to see how these intervals kind of shape themselves out, because I can't begin to imagine that Vince Peters is 28 seconds behind Francois Aldrini. That seems really, really strange. There you go. You can see it starting to reshape now. That's a bit more like it. I'd have been very impressed if that had happened, and a little bit worried for Vince Peters as a result. You see Ryan Hamilton's just come into the pit, just leaving the pit lane. I think Jason Dilworth did as well. You can see him being put under pressure from Igor Kost. It's not really a battle that needs to be had, obviously being in different classes. And Nick Madsen exiting the pits as well. He's lost a position to Vince Peters though.
Yeah, Vince Peters has mastered that undercut. He's done really, really well to make that happen, and he now drops. He loses 2 positions because Thomas Gildlian is past that as well. So that's been an absolute disaster for Nick Madsen to lose those 2 positions. But now all eyes on Vince Peters, because he was denied in that first race. And I've got to be honest, I'm really, really excited, David, for a very, very immature reason. We've seen Francois Aldrini and Vince Peters absolutely tearing lumps out of each other in previous rounds. I am so excited at the prospect of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the most recent one, of course, was at the Nürburgring last week, wasn't it? Going on to the second to last lap, had that coming together just at the back end of the Dottingham straight. So yeah, interesting to see if it's going to happen again. Just looking at the pit times, Vince Peters 8.85 seconds stationary, Nick Madsen 18.95. So that's how he's lost all of that time. That's promoted Thomas Gildlian up into the podium positions once more. So he'll be looking to hold on to that as we come into the final 12 minutes of this race. Steve Martin back up into 3rd in class. Of course, Stuart Reynolds has pitted. Sorry, Cody Pride now just pitting. I think it's to do with that that class leader pitting. That's when the timing chart seems to kind of fall back into place. But Harry Wills has dropped a position. Dan Sedgley has as well. Steve Martin, as I mentioned, he was that one who pitted a lot earlier than the rest of them. He's actually come out of this a little bit better than most of the other guys have.
Cody Pride has had an absolutely inspired pit stop. He's already done. He's done a short stop. Cody Pride, I believe, has just taken the lead of this race. We'll get confirmation of that just in a second. He's still coming out of pit lane just now. He might just lose out. He's come out in front of Stuart Reynolds, just so close. Oh wow, that is an inspired strategy call from Cody Pride. And if that holds on for the next 10 minutes, I did say that I fancied his chances, but I didn't realise it was going to be as decisive as that.
No, absolutely. I mean, what a play from Cody Pride there. He's actually in the pit lane stationary for a second longer than Stuart Reynolds was, but he somehow managed to pull it out. That must have been some in-lap that he's done to get in and out back ahead of Stuart Reynolds. He's now leading class, of course. Steve Martin's only a couple of seconds. You can see that's the top 5 on your Pro-Am class on the screen just there, going between McLean's and Coppice. So very, very close indeed. Nick Madsen all over the back of Thomas Gildlian. He's looking to try and get that position back and get onto the final step of the podium, but he's then 10 seconds back from Vince Peters. It's all gone wrong for Madsen, and that is again another hand towards the benefit of Vince Peters in this second race.
Yeah, and championship-wise, again, it's all these stories that make such a difference through the tail end of the championship. But our eyes are firmly on this battle here between Cody Pride and Stuart Reynolds, because it's fascinating. You know how much Stuart Reynolds wants to get that position, wants to take that win away for this 45-minute race here at Donnington Park, down through the Craner Curves, down into the whole old hairpin for the 32nd time for these cars. In fact, 31st time for the Pro-Am cars, because Nick Madsen just starting his 32nd lap just now. So again, amazing effort. Dan Handover and Dan Sedgley have come together, the two of them off track together as well, so they go further down here. Let's have a look here. So Dan Handover may have oh my god, that's a huge hit for Dan Handover coming out of the old hairpin there. Dan Sedgley obviously struck, the car spins out, he's stuck on the brakes. That's all you can do in that point. You can see the brake lines, he's static, keeps the car. Oh, he rolls back on. Now, I'm sorry if we're going to absolutely rail Dan Handover last time out for not holding on to the brakes. We have to do exactly the same to Dan Sedgley for doing precisely the same thing. He rolled the car back onto the track while there was cars coming on, absolutely unforgivable.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a real rookie mistake from Dan Sedgley there. Like you say, we didn't necessarily catch it when Dan Handover did it at Watkins Glen a couple of weeks ago earlier than we should have done. But yeah, I mean, look, that is a no-brainer. You can see the wheel spinning. It's quite clear. I don't think he's done it on purpose. I think he's just done exactly what you'd expect someone to do in that position, just tries to get back onto the run of things as soon as possible. But that was an incident that definitely could have been avoided. And I'm sure the stewards will look on that with an iron fist. They'll rule with an iron fist, and I'm sure they'll do a very similar evaluations to what they did with Dan Handover at Watkins Glen a few races back.
Goodness me. Right. What I love about this, David, is that, I mean, I do lots and lots of sim racing commentary for loads of different championships, and I always say this, right? I never, ever leave the evening as exhausted, as happy, and as thrilled as I do from these races. I honestly have not enjoyed myself so much in years as watching all of this action unfold on track.
Absolutely. I mean, it's courtesy of a few things, isn't it? As you can see, Vince Peters starting to close the gap and starting to put the moves on Aldrini. But yeah, there's a few things that I think contribute to it. The pace of these guys is relentless. It's ridiculous how quick all of these guys are for one. The amount of compliance and racecraft they have for two is nothing short of sensational. And the spatial awareness allows them to have the battles that they do. And it's just something that is so impressive. And we're seeing it time and time again. And it's one of them, like you say, you go into the first race, Vince Peters goes a little bit wide and loses a lot of time to front to Aldrini. You have to start that battle all over again. But it's one of those. We look at it in Le Mans and we thought, yeah, it was a really good race. Probably a one-off. We go to the first race of the season at Hockenheim. Okay, that was a really good race. And you carry on and you just expect you're going to get a dud at one point. But we've not had a single one so far. And I personally, like I say, look, this action is not going to stop. These guys aren't going to completely change their mentality straight away. We're going to see this for the entire season. And if you haven't already, you need to go back, watch all of the old races and get yourself linked up and notified for when these next races come out every Tuesday for the next 4 rounds as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got them in my diary. I'm genuinely so curious to see how this one goes. Just final word on that, Dan Sedgley and Dan Handover. Dan Sedgley has immediately been into to the driver's chat to apologise to Dan Handover, saying that it was a mistake. He thought that there was a car coming down the hill, and that he believed that was Dan Handover. So I get in that situation, we just have to presume it's just been a case of mistaking where you are on the track and the cars around you. It just shows you in the heat of the moment how easy it is to make those lapse judgments.
Yeah, like I said before, it's just one of them. Yeah, everyone's done it in their time. You've made the mistake. You want to try and get back on the track as quickly as possible. It's quite easy, especially in a sim such as this. It's quite easy to just not notice the relative and just try and focus straight away. Some of these guys, I'm sure, will be fortunate enough to have a spotter alongside them watching their every move anyway, so they can kind of help them out with these sorts of things. But when you're on your own and that kind of thing happens, we were talking about it earlier, weren't we? You try as quickly as you can to get back to race speed as quickly as possible and potentially overcompensate because you're trying to catch that gap. And I think that's what happened. And like I say, it's nice to see that Dan's apologised. I don't think that's going to change the ruling the stewards have, but it's nice that he's taken the time to play that apology, and I'm sure, knowing Dan as we do, I'm sure he'll be happy to receive it, but I'm sure he'll be just as disappointed in the fact that he was on for a good race, and had he not had the incidents earlier on in the race, that might potentially have been avoided.
How have we only got 5 minutes to go? Where is that last 15 minutes gone? David, what we'll say on that note as well, YouTube chat, very quiet tonight on that. I've not seen that explode, so that's a bit strange, that. But anyway, by the by, 4.5 minutes without trying to poke the hornet's nest anymore. Francois Aldrini in the lead of this race from Vince Peters and Thomas Goldley and Nick Maton in fourth, with Bidvin Kuster in fifth, Arias Humantis in sixth place. That's the pros. Moving on to Pro-Ams, Cody Pride ahead of Stuart Reynolds. An amazing strategy call there from Cody Pride. Really would like to try and speak to him if we can tonight. Steve Martin in third place in the Pro-Ams. Fourth place is Harry Wills and James Fierro in fifth place. Ryan Hamilton leads the AM class from Jason Dilworth. Eric Benson in third, Ross Dunstan in fourth, Chris Chatterton in fifth, John Williams in sixth, and Simon Underhill in seventh position in AM. But it looks like AM is pretty safe just now for Ryan Hamilton. Pro-Am is still going on because Cody Pride and Stuart Reynolds are still battling it out, as we can see here. And Francois Aldrini, less than a second between him and Vince Peters.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really nice to see Aldrini getting back into what we expected to see from the start of the season, isn't it? He's really starting to put the wick on, and turn the wick up, and really start to get some points on the board. He got second at the Nürburgring. Third, he was top 5 in the race in the first race, and yeah, doing a good job in terms of this one as well. Hopefully, I'm sure from his perspective, he can hold off the ever advancing Vince Peters. However, that's easier said than done, isn't it? I mean, the same thing happened with the same exact moment in the last race. So who knows what's going to happen? All I know is with 3 minutes left, don't pick a winner in the Pro and the Pro-Am classes. I think the Am classes maybe a little bit confirmed at this stage for Ryan Hamilton, but don't pick a winner in the top 2 classes, because chances are you might be completely wrong.
Unless you're me, in which case you can confidently pick a winner for the class and then know that you will be wrong anyway. So it's not a might be wrong, it's you will be wrong. And Vince Peters now, well, that gap's closed down very, very quickly, because it was 0.7 of a second. It's now just 0.2 of a second. Vince Peters is absolutely harassing Francois Aldrini right now. And yeah, I kind of want to keep an eye on this one. We'll cut back to Cody Pride and to Stuart Reynolds in a couple of minutes, but this is boiling over very, very nicely. We saw what happened, and that's an excellent run at the final chicane for Vince Peters. That gap coming down. The tail is wagging for Vince Peters, and Francois Aldrini moves to the outside after jinking to the inside as well, and that's a little bit of contact. A little bit of a rub there from Vince Peters saying, hello old friend, back, good to see you again. And Francois Aldrini, I don't think is going to take too kindly to that.
No, absolutely. He is going to make that Porsche car as wide as he possibly can, I would like to think. He is not holding back at all, and he will know exactly what happened last week at the Nordschleife, and he will be wanting not to have a repeat of that event last Tuesday evening. If he can, he's got, 2 laps left, I would argue. In fact, yeah, pretty much definitely going to be 2 laps to hold this off. But look at how close that terrifying helmet in the cockpit of Vince Peters' 45 machine is to the back of this Monaco Esports car. He's got 2 more chances, you would argue, does Vince Peters, but there's a little tail tire onto the grass. He's under pressure now. He's going to be compromised going into the final chicane, and we know how quick Vince Peters is coming out of here. Can he get the drag? Can he get the closing speed to make a move into Redgate onto what is now going to be the final lap of the race?
Oh, here we go then. Vince Peters makes an early move on the outside of turn 1. It's not going to be. They're side by side, and Vince Peters loses the traction coming out of Redgate. He's going to have to think better of it through Hollywood, down the right-hander, down towards the Craner curve then. He's only got a couple of more chances to do this. We've got a car rejoining at the worst possible time down at the old hairpin there, and Vince Peters now 0.3 of a second, come back to 0.2 of a second. We've only got 5 more corners left to go, because this is the run up to McLean's. They're almost side by side, and Aldrini tries to block the move off, and look at Vince Peters has to duck back into the toe, and this is the run up towards Coppice now. This is huge. This is going to be the last overtaking chance. There's contact again from Vince Peters. That gives Francois Aldrini a bit of a boost there, and Aldrini's going to move to the right hand side there. It's down Starkeys for one final time here for the Race Anywhere Porsche Series. They're side by side coming into the final chicane, and Aldrini is going to take the inside line. It's going to be Francois Aldrini to take race 2 ahead of Vince Peters. Thomas Goldlian in 3rd place. Nick Maidson is going to take 4th place. It's going to be Bunevin Kuster in 5th, and then it's going to be Arius Humantis in 6th position there. We move on to the Pro-Ams because all of the cars are kind of split over there. I believe Ryan Hamilton has taken the checkered flag, so Ryan Hamilton takes the win for the Am class. That is now secure. Jason Dilworth in 2nd. Chris Chatterton is going to be in 3rd. The final battle though is for the Pro-Ams, because Cody Pride and Stuart Reynolds, I think Stuart Reynolds is too far back. Surely this is Cody Pride's now into make it 2 out of 2. Sends it into the final chicane, and it's going to be a huge run down to the line for Stuart Reynolds, but it's 2 out of 2 for Cody Pride. And David, that for me is probably one of the most impressive stories of tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's take a moment quickly to look at that battle between Aldrini and Vince Peters. What a move that old Drini had to make to keep that defensive, or to keep that win in place. Unbelievable stuff on the entry into the final couple of corners. But yeah, Cody Pride, fantastic stuff. You see Darren Pride in the chat, thrilled with his exploits of his young lad Cody there. Brilliant stuff from him, and like you say, 2 wins in the evening really kind of throws him into the mix in terms of the championship. He's going to be right up there, especially because of Dan Sedgley, of course, having that incident dropping out of the race in the outcomes.
Certainly will be. Let's run you through the final order then. It's a race win for Francois Aldrini, soaking up all that pressure in the pro class from Vince Peters like the absolute sponge. Half a second splits him in the end. Third place is going to be Thomas Gildlean, and then Nick Baton in that fourth place after that horrible pit stop there. Budovan Kuster takes fifth. Sixth place for Arias Humantis. Bastian Maitler finishes 20 laps behind, and it's a DNF for Laurent Benzo in the pro class. Moving on to the Pro-Ams, it's a brilliant win for Cody Pride to make it 2 out of 2 this evening ahead of Stuart Reynolds. Steve Martin takes third place, Harry Wills in fourth, James Fierro in fifth place, Igor Costa in sixth, with Dan Handover and Dan Sedgley coming together 10 laps ago. On to the AMs then. Ryan Hamilton out in a league of his own, 18 seconds ahead of Jason Dilworth, takes the AM Championship race win for round 6, race 2, ahead of, as I said, Jason Dilworth, Chris Chatterton in third position, Ross Dunstan in fourth, Eric Benson in fifth, John Williams in sixth, Simon Underhill in seventh position, and then Thomas Worm Jr., Dean Timms and Dan Gilding all retiring from the race, as a very, very happy number 15 out on track, celebrating the double win. And David, I do not blame him tonight.
No, he's done a fantastic job, hasn't he, as Cody? He's been, like I say, he's been caught up in a few instances here and there. He's had a little bit of a difficult start to the championship, but other than that, I mean, that was, really, really impressive driving. Strategy-wise, nailed it. And look, I mean, how much pressure was he under for both of those races? And he held it. He was rock solid and deserves those 2 wins.
Yeah, certainly right. We've got some interviews to get underway. Let's have a chat first off then with our AM winner, Ryan Hamilton, who made it look very, very easy. A very, very good evening, Ryan. Welcome to the commentary booth. That was a great race, but realistically, I mean, you had that by the absolute scruff of the neck.
Yeah, it's all thanks to the hard work that me and the engineers at Prestanda Nomad did during the week. We were on it, like trying to just do setup, look at VRS, compare ourselves. The car felt absolutely amazing around here. I really do like this track. It's a bit of a difference from last week. Obviously didn't do very well at Nürburgring. I'm probably going to be getting some booze from it, but I absolutely love Donnington, and obviously it's like my home track. I'm equidistant actually from Donnington and Alton Park, so I've got 2 home races, but I really enjoyed that. Car felt great, and despite having a spin in the foot in the sprint race, spun all on my own and had to get it all back. That was it was a bit sketchy at the beginning. I had to wait my turn to overtake some of the people in front of me, but once I got out in front, it was just head down and grind out those laps, and the result speaks for itself.
Yeah, just on that note, you mentioned VRS and the work the team did behind the scenes, making the setup work for you. How much work goes into to preparing for these races, Ryan?
Well, we don't want to give away any secrets away, but we start really literally sometimes the next day, literally tomorrow we'll jump in, we'll have a look, we'll sort of test different sort of wing settings that we like to do, low wing, high wing, see what we want to do, and then we just work really well with Xavier Brian, one of our engineers, and Abhishek, one of our engineers, and we just we sort of tailor. Then we get a baseline, and then we tailor the setup to each individual, what they like, what they don't like. I sort of jumped on this, fiddled around, but then I ended up going back to what I originally liked, and the car was amazing. So all credit to the engineering team at Nomad. They do a fantastic job.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Congratulations again, Ryan, on a brilliant AM class win, and look forward to seeing you in the next round.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much.
So, David, Ryan Hamilton there, and again, the reason I was asking that is the whole point of, like, I know some people that are maybe watching this thinking this is just folk turning up and having a bit of fun, but there's so much work goes into this, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, the planning and preparation is incredible, isn't it? I know the guys at WSL obviously host 2 kind of free practice sessions as well for everyone to join into, and it really is a testament to all of the guys. I think that's why we get the racing we do. The amount of effort, the amount of commitment that everyone puts in, whether it's admin, whether it's drivers, anything like that, to come and race and, like I say, manage these things as well as they do. That's the kind of thing that it benefits from, and it's nice to see it paying off for Ryan in that occasion.
Yeah, certainly is. And moving on to the Pro-Am class, waiting very patiently and politely is Stuart Reynolds in the commentary booth. Stuart, an awesome race tonight, both in race 1 and race 2. And I mean, you must have been gutted when you saw Cody coming out of the pits in first place.
Yeah, just a tad. He's always quicker than us, and I thought I'd got him that time.
Are you never tempted just to roll the brakes and just a little bit of a love tap?
As tempting as that is, I think I'd get told off.
Talk us through that race then, because obviously, I mean, second place is still with, the field's so strong. Second place must feel pretty damn good.
To be honest with you, I wasn't expecting to get second, just due to the fact, like you say, the pace is phenomenal in this group. But I just bided my time, saved a load of fuel, and that really seemed to help. So,
and just very quickly as well, one thing that we noticed from the 45-minute race is that for the majority of that first half hour, there was 6 or 7 of you all within about a second and a half of each other. What does that feel like as a sim racer when you're on edge for that amount of time?
Hot. It gets quite hot. And sweaty, and you're just concentrating on what they're doing, making sure you don't hit anybody, and it is quite stressful as well.
Awesome stuff. Well, Donnington obviously out the way. It's done. It's dusted. We move on then to the next one on the schedule is Road Atlanta. Is that a track that you're looking forward to?
Expect me to either not turn up or not finish. Road Atlanta is a track that I really don't like. So, not looking forward to that one.
Well, we'll just brush that one under the carpet then, Stuart. But congratulations on the second place nonetheless, and thanks for having a chat with us tonight.
Thank you very much. Night, guys.
So there we go, David. We'll round things off with the Pro-Ams, and we'll have to bring in Mr. Subtle himself, Mr. Keeps himself to himself, Mr. Nuanced, Corey Pride, making it 2 out of 2 tonight. Stunning fashion, Corey. Take a bow, son.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Donnington is definitely my favourite track. When it got added to Assetto Corsa, the GT3 version, I loved it, and I got it on iRacing for this event, and it's different because you go right at the chicane instead of left, and I prefer it, a really short track, and I mean, I like it a lot, so I'm happy.
Right, give us the little inside scoop then. So cast your mind back to that 45-minute race. You've gone in for your pit stop, and you at what point do you think that you can make the jump happen?
Throughout the previous many laps when I was fuel saving a lot. So starting last because I won the sprint race, I managed to obviously start last, and I made up a few places on Harry and Stewart, and then I completely lost them again when I tried to make a move in the chicane. So I thought, I may as well think logically and fuel save. So I fuel saved a lot, and I managed to get an extra lap than everybody, or 2 laps for some people. And I knew that if I put a bit less fuel in, I managed to fuel save to the end. When I saw the relative when I was coming out the pits, and Stewart was coming down, 3-2 as I came out the pits, I thought it'd be close, but I just broke really late into the first corner and managed to stay ahead of him.
And obviously some huge points for the championship, and that really does put you in contention with just 3 rounds left to go. You must be pretty excited for that.
Oh yeah, I definitely am, because I'm still not really getting to grips with the 992 Cup. It's a very hard car to drive, and throughout the first half of the season, first quarter, I was really struggling with the car, but I've put a little bit more practice into these last few events, and they're paying off because I've been really enjoying the car a lot more, and I've been getting some better results. So yeah, I'm just going to focus for the final few results and final few races, and hopefully bring home some good points.
Well, us in the commentary booth, we are very much looking forward to what you bring to the table, Cody. Congratulations on the double win tonight, and we hope you've got some big celebrations planned.
Thank you very much.
There we go. And finally, we have to check in with our interviewee, our regular guest in the commentary box, Dan Handover. Dan, what do we say about that then?
I don't know. It's your guess is as good as mine. No, to be fair, like I was saying in the in the waiting room as well. Like I've done the exact same thing to Chris Chatterton back in Glen. I felt so bad. I felt so bad that I know exactly what it feels like. So Dan came in and apologised. I was like, yeah, mate, all good. It happens. But yeah, it was quite interesting watching the replay, sending him into the stratosphere at about Mach 4. That was quite fun to watch.
It was, I mean, we've seen worse things, really. But, how do you dust yourself down from a night like that, championship-wise? How do you get your head back in the game for Road Atlanta?
Well, I think, to be fair, obviously in terms of championship, there isn't too much left to go, so I think realistically it's just going to play it race by race. Although, positive-wise, the best thing you got to do is take the positives. And I mean, the pace was good in race 2. Managed to pull a bit of a gap, up to I think it was about 3.5, 4 seconds at one point, which was good. So, second race much better. I felt much more in tune with the car, which is good. I wasn't driving like a bit of a Billy, which is nice. So yeah, rather than focus on the negatives, focus on the positives, and I'll be back for Red Atlanta, and I enjoy Red Atlanta as well. So hopefully it'll be better.
Well, we are very much excited to see you out there, Dan, and can't wait to see you back at Road Atlanta.
Brilliant. Take care, guys. Have a good one.
So, David, wow, what do we say about tonight?
I mean, what is there to say? Brilliant racing, loads of action, 4 more rounds to go. 4 more of them. Look, I said this every video. I said I'd be very happy if we got those. I think at this stage, considering we've done 7 rounds technically now, if you count the pre-qualifying round at Le Mans, I think it's kind of one of those you almost expect to get now. You expect we're going to get good racing. So if we get even half of that, we'll be very blessed indeed, I think. And yeah, I mean, look, I was a fan of the sprint race format before we started anyway, but races like those really kind of reward that kind of that format, don't they? And especially when you chuck the reverse grid in there, it just makes so much action like we've seen. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it really, really is. As always, a huge thank you to our commercial partners at Race Anywhere, raceanywhere.co.uk, sim-3d, that's sim-3d.co.uk, World Series Leagues, and Go for the Gap. I've been David Christie. He's been David Wrestle. A huge thank you to Steve, to Mike Yao, and our broadcast team behind the scenes. And thank you to you at home for watching. We'll see you at the same time next week. If you're at a loss and at a stuck end, join me and David on Sunday. We'll come and find us. We'll be battling it out with some TCRs. We'll find you out on track. But on behalf of everyone here, have a lovely night, and we'll see you next week.